Ancient Egypt, known for its monumental pyramids and advanced civilization, holds countless mysteries within its sands. Among these are the eerie screaming mummies, whose gaping mouths have puzzled archaeologists for centuries. These mummies continue to fuel speculation about their lives, deaths, and the burial practices of this ancient world. For more than a century, the screaming mummies have fascinated historians and archaeologists. This has fueled speculation as to why centuries-old mummies are visibly wailing with their mouths gaping wide open. Buried between 1865 and 1958, mostly from Egypt, they have been concurrently a marvel, a curiosity, and the middle of controversies. Their grotesque look clashes with one of many greatest mysteries surrounding them. Why did these individuals die? This post investigates the data surrounding such a phenomenon and discusses some of the most significant theories that attempt to relate to this mystifying subject. These famous relics from ancient civilizations remind us of the war-torn history contained in one man's face, like that we see here with these screaming mummies. Unlike other carefully buried mummies, they have a weird look on their faces, one that looks like screaming silently. The most often quoted example is the one found in 1886, unknown man E. In the Deir el-Bahari tomb complex. His corpse was wrapped in a sheepskin and bared an expression so obscure that even experts were taken aback. At first glance, it would appear that these mummies died in a state of violent injury. But on further inspection, more likely explanations about how it has been decomposing and mummifying have followed. When we die, our jaw muscles and the rest of the body relax. A loose jaw will hang down, which makes it look like the figure is screaming. And that's what happened with these mummies. As the body decayed, gravity took its axis and opened that mouth into a ghastly opening. Some of the mummification looks as if it was half done or not mature. Unlike ancient Egypt, mummification was an exact and meticulous art. Corpses were often embalmed and tied so tightly that the mouth was shut. The body would remain closed if left alone or not wrapped well enough, but the mouth could reopen after death. The phenomenon, in all likely cases, is an outcome of this natural process and not a reflection of their state of mind when they died. Being buried alive is scary. Although the open mouths do have a scientific explanation, they also lead to theories about why some mummies were interred in this manner. One idea is that those who disappeared were met with foul play. With unknown Manny, his less than pure burial, alongside a rushed embalming process, has caused some researchers to speculate that he was murdered or perhaps executed. That his body was buried in a royal tomb has prompted speculation that he could have been an executed prince or senior official. A second theory is that this was a failed mummification with certain mummies. The embalming process may not have been both quick or thorough enough for an adequate preservation of tissue. That might have been through an external cause like war, plague, or political unrest, which can interfere with mummification ceremonies. Some scholars have proposed a theory that these people might have been buried alive, which does not fit with the rest of the archaeological data. Although the thought of hanging, there does not seem to be any substantial evidence for this screaming mummies. The best known of these figures is a mummy called the Screaming Mummy, also known by his ID, Unknown Man-E. The 1886 find by Gaston Maspero of the Egyptian Antiquities Service has confused experts ever since. Its irony is that he was not neatly wrapped in the linen like other mummies. Instead, he wore a sheepskin which the ancient Egyptians considered unclean. He has one of the most over-the-top angry faces. It looks like Tetsuo's mouth will always stay open screaming. Deeper analysis showed the remains weren't treated as well as those of other family members in his tomb. The extraordinary embalming secrets of Egyptian mummies were the internal organs all remained in place within. No one knows who he was, whether a prince forced into rebellion or an invading foreigner fed to crocodiles. The screaming mummies are still a sinister reminder that even in the 21st century, there is much we do not yet know about ancient Egyptian burial craft. Yes, the most likely reason these mummies happen to be found with their very open mouths is due simply to them being in a state of decay as they were originally buried or preserved. However, that still does not stop other theories about how they got there from populating our headlines. Or were they victims of murder and political intrigue, or did we just get the embalming process not so right? Over 2,000 years later, these screaming mummies still have more secrets to reveal about their lives in the ancient world.